This is Mike from CareerQB, and we're here today with Scott. Scott, if you could please let us know what you do for a living.
Yeah, essentially, I run a presentation design and training company called Ethos3, and we're based in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay. In a couple sentences, what is the gist of what you do? So, whether that be a mission statement or just kind of a very a clear, simple idea of what you guys do on a day to day basis, what is that?
Well, essentially, really kind of our mantra is really about empowering presenters. And so, what we do on a kind of day in and day out basis is really just helping presenters. And we do that really through two main tracks. One is presentation design, and then the other is presentation training. So, under presentation design, individuals, organizations, they send us their PowerPoints or something equivalent, and we help them with their messaging and the design of their presentation just to essentially give it an overall facelift or makeover. And then on the training side of our business, we essentially do workshops and seminars, really just training people to become better presenters. So really, again, at the end of the day, it's just about empowering presenters and helping them kind of move from a death by PowerPoint environment into something a little bit more compelling and engaging.
Great. Well, what's been your path to get to where you're at? Education and then professionally.
Yeah, essentially, I have as far as education, I've got a bachelor's in communications, and then I have an MBA. And I spent the first probably 5 to 6 years of my career working in marketing, and that included stints in the nonprofit sector, corporate sector, and I actually started my career off in higher education marketing, and kind of just jumped from position to position. And one of the kind of commonalities I found in all my various different roles is that people really just struggle with presentations. Not only delivering them, so thinking about nonverbal behavior, gestures, eye contact, etc., but they struggled with the messaging and the design of their PowerPoint decks. And so it just seemed like there's a real ripe opportunity to actually start a company that could essentially help those individuals. And that's really where the idea of Ethos3 was born. So I spent about 8 to 11 months working my nights and weekends. And after about 8 to 11 months of doing that sort of on the side, had enough courage to quit my salary job and go full time with the company. And I've been doing that now for about the last 5.5 years. So it's been a fun ride.
Great. What would you say are the top three necessary skills to be good at what you do?
As far as like running a business or just presentations in general.
Uh, Maybe a couple from both.
Okay. From the kind of entrepreneur side, I would say definitely what I needed for that was really just really probably just kind of just general gumption and common sense in trying to make smart decisions. Where when you're starting a business, you don't have a whole lot of resources. You definitely have to sort of bootstrap things, and so being able to be wise with your decisions, make mistakes, but make them quickly, fail often, and fail a lot, but learn from those things, don't repeat them, and then from there kind of press forward. And almost having, as kind of Steve Jobs likes to say, really just having sort of an abnormal passion where you have to be so passionate about what you're doing that you're going to be almost abnormal in your approach. So you'd be willing to work those late nights, work those weekends. You'd be able to do things that a normal person wouldn't typically want to do. So I think just, again, common sense, passion from starting the business, that definitely comes into play. And then as far as actually working in the area of presentations, again, I think it's just knowing how to be simple. One of my favorite people out there, his name's Dan Pink. When he talks about presentations, he talks about brevity, levity, and repetition. Brevity, it needs to be brief. Levity, you need to keep things at a 30,000 foot view. And repetition means repeat the important stuff. And I think if you can get in the mindset of that when presenting, which a lot of people fail at, if you can embrace that simple rule, I think you can go really far with just understanding the dynamics of presenting well. So hopefully that helps.
Yes. What's the thing that you like best about your job? So if there was one thing you couldn't live without, regarding your career, what would it be?
It's I don't want to sound cliche here, but it's really just about making meaning. And when I started this company, really not necessarily to make money. It wasn't starting a company so I can become rich. I was just not passionate about what I was doing on a day-to-day basis. It was hard to get up every morning and kind of work for the man and do the corporate thing and go through all the different red tape and processes that are involved in sort of corporate America. And so I wanted a position, I wanted a career, I wanted a job that would allow me to make meaning, that I could actually, again, not to sound cliche, but I could actually make a difference and offer my skill sets in my areas of expertise where I could actually help people. And obviously the path that I carved for myself was helping people with their presentations. And so that's just been very enlightening, and I'm glad and happy that I get to do that kind of each and every day. So it's definitely a fun experience.
On the flip side of that, considering all of your responsibilities, from the glamorous to the not so glamorous, what is the one thing that if you could, you would just get rid of?
Good question. You know, what I'm learning right now is, one of the things I've been trying to teach the team over the last few years is allowing us to really kind of work in our areas of strength. And, I've been fortunate, when I first started the company, I kind of was a one-man band. I wore many different hats, and I would get to work in my strengths, but there was also many tasks in which I would have to work in my areas of weakness. So I've been fortunate lately where I've now been able to carve out my schedule where I can work in my areas of strength. And so that's been a blessing. So I'm kind of losing track here of your original question. Can you repeat that real quick, Mike?
Yeah. So thinking about all of your responsibilities, what is the one that you could live without? So you would get rid of if you could.
Just in my general day-to-day stuff that I don't necessarily enjoy, but I do kind of day in and day out. Um, you know, probably business development. I'll be the first one to admit that I'm not a sales guy. I didn't start Ethos3 to be a sales guy. I enjoy it, but at the end of the day, it's a weakness. And what I mean by that is, when I look at a Myers-Briggs test or a PI test, I often score as an introvert. I often score as low social. It doesn't mean that I don't have social skills. It just means that when I'm around people, if I'm at a party, if I'm at a social gathering, my battery tends to get depleted in those sort of settings where I need to be by myself to get charged. And so when I find myself being active in sales, hour by hour, meeting after meeting, call after call, those things that really tends to drain me by the end of the day. So there are components of it that I really do like. But I think it's not necessarily a responsibility that allows me to work in my area of strength. And so kind of going back to what I originally was stating is, I'm trying diligently now to get into areas where I can work in my areas of strength day in and day out. And a lot of that is just, being creative and, working on the company rather than working in the company. Mm-hmm. So that's probably something I'd like to kind of hand off to another individual or colleague sometime in the months and weeks ahead.
Great. If someone wanted your job or wants to do what you do, what are 2 short-term kind of action steps that they could take to get going down that path?
I think it just comes down to hard work and passion. I really believe that anybody can do whatever they want. If they're not happy in their present position, I think they can easily make a change, and it's just a matter of choice and taking the proper steps to get there. And I'm a huge fan of the tortoise and hare story that you've got to be the tortoise. It's those small steps, it's those acts of consistent effort stacked up day after day, week after week, year after year. A lot of people can look at Ethos3 now and they can look at our client roster and think that we were overnight success, and we weren't. I mean, this is something that I've spent many long hours working on. Again, bootstrapping everything, going to bed every night worried about when the next project would come in. And right now I don't necessarily have that fear. It's different fears now, but it's just if you want to make a change, make the decision, make the choice, and be consistent with your efforts, and just like finances, just let it compound on itself, and you'll reap the rewards later.
Great. Well, those are all the questions I have. Do you guys have a website that if people want to check out any of your work, they can?
Oh, yeah, definitely. If you guys have a passion about presentations or public speaking, you guys can check us out at ethos3.com. And that's ETHOS, the number 3.com.
Okay. Thanks, Scott.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.